Pacifism has gone too far. Giving up on violence, I can understand that. Letting your race be exterminated, extreme and virtually impossible to implement. But winning the Medal of Honor without firing a single bullet, a shame on the human race, honestly, truly. Can one truly call themselves an American or even a Christian if they don't participate in morally justified tomfoolery against one's foe? What's next? Pacifism leads to the liberation of a country? As if. Hacksaw Ridge disgraced this earth on the 4th of November, 2016 by Mel Gibson, the director of the movie I Die In, and the one about Scotland or whatever. Abhorrent fact, this movie won several Oscars. Deplorable. The main character, Desmond Doss, is played by Andrew Garfield, the Amazing Spider-Man. Desmond is a believer in one of the 3 more billion fringe subsections of humanity called Seventh-day Adventism. The movie opens to Desmond and his brother messing around in the mountains and whatnot. They get home and get in a fight, which leads to Desmond almost killing his brother with a brick and getting the PUBG winner chicken dinner. His alcoholic, trauma-ridden father is upset at this and tries to reenact whip your kids by your favorite Martian, but is interrupted by his mother, which puts a stop to it before it happens. Desmond is told that good Christian boys don't kill or hurt each other because it hurts God's feelings. And then we skip several years to Desmond as an adult, cleaning a church window. Just then, a guy outside gets a massive boo-boo due to a car rolling over his leg. Luckily, Desmond can tie a good tourniquet and saves the guy. At the hospital, he meets Mary Jane or, Dorothy, a nurse, and instantly gets a crush on her. They get together, go to the movies, almost die twice, and kiss. A while later, Desmond enlists into the military because he saw everyone else do it, which made him want to, and, fair peer pressure and all. This is despite the fact that he works in an arms production factorio and can easily avoid the entire war experience. This is what his father wants, and because Desmond isn't doing that, he gets angry. But because he's an old man, he can't really do much at this point. Instead, he goes to the cemetery with Desmond and is all like... And Desmond can't really do much at this point, so he continues on the training camp after getting a Bible and a picture of Dorothy, now his fiancée. At camp, he meets a plethora of unique and kooky characters. Teach, one of 4 literate men there, Chief, the Polish guy, Ghoul, and Hollywood, the naked one. He's naked because he likes to show off his body, but was born too early to have a big bodybuilding career, so he had to settle with exhibition. I also don't know why, but he's doing dead hangs when Desmond comes in. You don't really need to be that strong for dead hangs. I mean, just look at me go. I'm hanging from that cross perfectly fine. The expected training sequence happens, and Desmond gets first place. Something no one expected from the guy that walks through the woods to get an extra mile of steps in when he's going to work. His dubs come to an end when he is told to pick up a weapon. He refuses and has to speak with a therapist because he's clearly mentally deranged. However, he is sent back as being a legit conscientious objector. But Drill Sergeant Howell is upset at this and partakes in overt tomfoolery by announcing that Desmond is a CO. This leads to Desmond getting beat up in the middle of the night. This scene was so prolific in the public consciousness that Netflix Squid Game stole this. To add insult to injury, his leave request to get married was rejected as he technically didn't finish basic training on account of the whole rifle debacle. He is told to pick up a rifle again, and this time he goes to court-martial. Luckily for Desmond, his father pulls some chicanery and gets a permission slip for him, signed by General Musgrove. Desmond gets to serve, and that's the end of that. Cut all the way to Okinawa, where the salt of Hacksaw Ridge was... Desmond talks to the other 2 remaining medics in the area, where he's told that the desperate losing fascist nation is committing war crimes by aiming specifically at medics. I never would have guessed that something like this would be happening in World War II of all wars. They get to Hacksaw Ridge and begin the assault after a naval bombardment. Upon reaching the top, they are greeted with all 5 shades of brown and gray used by late 2000s video games. Trust me, I played them. They had no colors. And from the fog comes many Japanese soldiers. A battle ensues, and my Gen Z attention span was overstimulated with how much was happening. I'm kidding, of course. It was only half overstimulated. The battle comes to an end, and the soldiers are about to set up camp for the night. Desmond and another soldier, Smitty, have a nice chat and a nice little nap and a nice little me. Meanwhile, Teach is all like,
Men are props in the stage of life.
It is now the next day. The Japanese forces begin a counterattack. The American forces are being quickly overwhelmed and have to leave. The Japanese are having a fun time pushing them out until another naval bombardment begins. After Desmond carries Smitty's dead body to the cliff, he asks God what he wants of him. Suddenly in the distance, a TF2 player presses Z, and Desmond kicks it into high gear to save him. He continues going around and saving people even after the bombardment stops. Eventually, he is chased into one of the tunnels the Japanese use for cover from the artillery. Desmond comes across a prisoner and injects him with morphine to keep him quiet. We then cut to him saving more people. This section finally reaches its climax when he is chased while dragging Sergeant Howell out of Hacksaw Ridge. Desmond pulls a 1v5 clutch and manages to escape fire while sliding down a rope like a fireman. Back at base, Desmond is shown respect by his comrades for the first time. He's so popular that they even delay the next attack just to have him pray for him. This prayer must have worked because they ran straight through the Japanese forces like they were nothing. Unfortunately, some of them decided to go out committing war crimes and faked a surrender to throw grenades at the American soldiers. Desmond wasn't having this and kicked a grenade back and got a few more injuries to his collection as a result. He is then carried out, and the story is over. Although this movie conflicts with my objectively correct belief of violence by celebrating this pacifist, I will have to give it about 5 stars out of 5. The narrative was pretty good as it kept me invested the whole way through, and the characters progressed naturally. The cinematography was excellent during the battle scenes, and it really helped to add to the chaos. The use of color and lighting was also pretty neat. The movie received an Oscar for having good sound. I concur with this Oscar because, I could understand what the characters were saying without having to read the subtitles, and the sound effects were pretty good. The editing also got an Oscar. I agree with this, as I felt the editing was pretty nice. The cuts make sense and flow nicely. The mise-en-scène was nice and kept me immersed the entire time. Made me feel like it really was a battle there. Everything was gross, muddy, it was bloody, and ugh. This is a certified hood classic, and I would enjoy rewatching it if I ever happened to. Review over. I think it's about time I taught a certain apostle his final lesson.